LAPD is calling this the worst arson case in the history of the state of California. Behind me is the headquarters of the LAPD, where the elite robbery homicide unit has been working this case. They've hit dead ends, but they never gave up. They got a good lead in 2013. They followed it, and over the weekend, they made the arrest 24 years later. Nearly 24 years after this intentionally set apartment fire killed 7 children and 3 women, 2 who were 8 months pregnant, law enforcement says they know who did it.
Back in May of 1993, the city of Westlake witnessed the worst case of arson in Los Angeles history. Westlake is a district right next to Koreatown, Los Angeles, but to be honest, locals consider Westlake a section of Koreatown unofficially. Koreatown is a city that has many layers, and if you're just a tourist coming by for the food and club scene, it's hard to see all the inner workings of the city. Back in the 90s, Koreatown was a completely different environment compared to present day. Gang culture was at an all-time high, and Koreatown was a hotspot. Different gangs from other cities and even counties would travel to K-Town in order to look for enemies. Koreatown was home to quite a number of Asian gangs, but it's also been home to some of the most notorious Sureño gangs as well. Out of all the barrios that reside in K-Town, 18th Street is probably one of the most reputable, and they have history within this city. And in today's episode, we're going to be diving into the story of the Burlington apartment fires and Ramiro Valerio, also known as Greedy, a top-ranking shot caller from 18th Street that lived a double life as an FBI informant. But before we get into the video, don't forget to leave the video a like because it helps your boy with the algorithm. Also, I have to call you guys out. How are 73% of you guys unsubscribed? We're trying to hit 100k subs by the end of the year, boys. But without further ado, let's get back into the topic of the video. Greedy was a shot caller from the Columbia Little Psychos clique of 18th Street. 18 has always been a powerhouse, and they went at it with a gang of different barrios in Koreatown, Pico Union, and Westlake District. Greedy was a well-known shot caller within 18th Street. He was known for having bodies, being with the business, and overall being a solid homie. Or so he had everybody fooled. Greedy was living a double life. When he wasn't busy giving orders to the little homies in the hood, Greedy was also an active FBI informant. Being the top-ranking member from 18th Street, Greedy collected a lot of intel because he was literally in the mix at a high level. But Greedy didn't just end up a shot caller within 18th Street for no reason. He got there because he was actually with the business and put in a lot of work for the hood. The Columbia Little Psychos' main territory stretches from 6th and Bonnie Bray to 3rd and Columbia. They had many different money avenues, but one of the plays was extortion. Restaurants, apartment buildings, and any business that happened to be located within their hood's territory would be taxed, and if the tax was refused, violent measures would be taken to enforce that tax. The Burlington Apartments, which is located on 330 South Burlington Street, falls within the Columbia Little Psychos territory. Greedy got in contact with the landlord and informed him that he was there to collect, but the landlord refused to pay up. Because of this refusal, a couple 18th Street gang members returned and whooped the landlord's ass. But the beating didn't really change anything. The landlord still refused to pay, so a hood meeting was orchestrated. During the meeting, Greedy worked closely with 2 key players, and they were Sniper and Termite. Greedy suggested they, quote, do a little fire to scare the landlord into paying up. The fire was supposed to be sent as a message, and 18th Street was under the impression that nobody would be inside the building. Greedy made the call and the plan was set in motion. Termite and a couple other associates went to the Burlington Apartments and started the fire with some matches and lighter fluid. After starting the fire, the crew left and the apartment was quickly consumed by the flames. I mentioned earlier that 18 was under the impression that the apartment building would have been empty during the time of the fire, but they were mistaken. The apartment was completely filled. A total of 12 people lost their lives that night, including 7 children and 2 women that were pregnant. Eyewitnesses reported women dropping children from windows just to save them. This incident happened during the peak of gang culture, so eyewitnesses and locals were not keen to talk or give any statements. For this reason, the case went cold for nearly 2 decades before any advancements were made in this case.
The building is burning, and the lady is live over there, and she tried to jump.
Out of fear of retaliation, this woman we'll call Linda didn't want to be identified, but she wasn't afraid to tell us about the day that remains vivid in her mind. Linda points out of her window where she saw flames consuming the Burlington Apartments next door in May of 1993. The arson fire killed 7 children and 3 women. 2 were 8 months pregnant. In the window directly across from her, Linda remembers a mother with her 2 children in her arms about to jump out of the window.
No, don't do it.
Soon, Linda, her daughter, and her daughter's friend went outside beneath the woman's window. They told her to let the kids jump so they could catch them.
She dropped the baby. And she said, oh my God. And my daughter take my one baby and the other baby, my daughter friends.
Today, the LAPD announced they arrested these 3 known gang members for starting the fire.
This fire ended up being one of 18's biggest mistakes. All of the members who were involved in this incident were greenlighted by the organization. Termite, aka Juan Ramiro, knew they had fucked up real bad, and on top of being greenlighted by the organization, Termite was being suspected of being a rat by his own gang. Court-ordered wiretaps were placed on one of the godfathers of 18th Street by the name of Puppet. Puppet had a huge hand in how 18 conducted business and was the reason why 18th Street was able to make millions during the drug trade. Puppet had a wife named Janie, and she was known as, quote, the mother of the Columbia. She played a big role while Puppet was in prison. She was essentially Puppet's eyes and ears on the streets. Janie suspected Termite of being a snitch and told Puppet that he needed to be taken care of.
The house has termites.
Yeah.
You know, and they had fumigated it. But I don't know. I think the termites are back.
A hit was placed on Termite by Puppet, which led to Termite's car getting shot up by an AK-47. Termite was hit, but he somehow managed to survive, and later on went to cooperate with the authorities due to a hit being put on him for essentially no reason. After giving the authorities information about the inner workings of 18, Termite went on the run to Mexico, where he remained until December of 2023. He was extradited back from Mexico, and he was booked into the Los Angeles County Jail and is currently awaiting sentencing. Manji, also known as Sniper, was one of the people with Termite when they set the apartment on fire. He got the better half of the deal and got charged with voluntary manslaughter, which only came with 11 years. Greedy had already been working as an FBI informant, and he went on the run but got caught up in 2017. He was placed in custody with a $25 million bail, and Greedy ultimately got charged with 12 counts of murder and was eventually sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. This case was incredibly tragic, and my condolences go out to all the families that were affected by this incident. Greedy, giving one bad call, ended the lives of 7 children and 2 pregnant women. And on top of this, everybody in his crew got deemed no good because of this mission. But while making this video, I couldn't help but feel bad for Termite, because at the end of the day, Termite was just following orders. And after giving his whole life to the cause, he got suspected of being a rat by his own gang. But according to some of my sources, Termite was a solid homie, and I can't really blame him for turning into an informant, because at the end of the day, the gang turned their back on him first. This is just one of the many stories that I have for you guys that's stored in the vault, because 18 was making a lot of noise within Koreatown. So with that being said, let me know what you guys want me to cover next, but until next time, I'll be seeing you guys later. Peace.